I'm back. Um, this video is going to talk about why light skinned men, y'all have to start making response videos to these groups of people who keep speaking on y'all. Um, and I'm going to talk about how dark skinned men in this video, they feel the need, or they're always trying to speak for light skinned men. Alright? But notice you never hear light skinned men speak for themselves. It's like they have to be the MK Ultra handler over mulatto men. And also, they also allow white males to speak for light skinned males, or give dark skinned men the platform to spread these lies. And also, dark skinned women and light skinned women also control light skinned men's narrative. That's why you notice in the black community, light skinned men are pushed as feminine and frail, even though if you look at actual reality, they're not like that. These group of men dominate when they get a chance at sports, like dark skinned men or any other group of men, and they're not being discriminated against or hated on. They pretty much outshine their peers in these masculine sports, and they usually are the alpha males of those sports, even though it's not in a large abundance of them. But still, in the black community, they still portray them as frail, weak, and effeminate, and even sometimes outside of it, even though it's not based in reality, because light-skinned men don't control their own narrative and control how they're promoted. Dark-skinned men do, and white males and black women do, and light-skinned women as well. But notice how he has to speak for us in our experiences. But I guarantee you, if this was the other way around, they would not allow this. All right, let's get into it. Let's see what he's talking about.
Busy making videos, I forgot to make up my other video. So light-skinned men and dating. Light-skinned men in dating have it way easier than black men. They have it way easier than white men. They have it way easier than any other ethnic men. Light-skinned men are seen as way more attractive, and usually they're more seen as models. Light-skinned men can get dates easy. They get girls because they're pretty boys. They're light-skinned. They got the curly hair.
And this is BS. I know plenty of light-skinned dudes who struggle with women. I know light-skinned dudes who have no game at all. I know who gets a lot of women, just like any other group of men. But a lot of I told you in my last video, dark-skinned men have to make narratives about light-skinned men because they have to keep on this narrative that light-skinned men have it easier for one reason. One, because they got to shame women out of dating y'all and make it seem like they're rebelling by rejecting you guys. And they try to get sympathy pussy. And also, they need a reason on why they mistreat light-skinned people as a whole. So they have to come up with a narrative about how y'all got it so much easier and y'all privileged. That's why it's dangerous to agree with that, because you're giving them a reason and fuel to mistreat you or be a punching bag. Because that's how light-skinned people are in the community. Let's just keep it a buck. But they have to keep this narrative going in order to have a reason to mistreat you guys. Alright? Even though they know for a fact light-skinned men have it the worst, especially when it comes to their own group of women and having their own identity in their own spaces, because they don't respect them and their space. And let me rewind back to what he's saying.
And usually they're more seen as models. Light-skinned men,
which dark-skinned men push. All right, y'all call them these pretty boys and always trying to label them to try to emasculate them, but sometimes it backfires. But let's keep going.
Get dates easy. They get girls because they're pretty boys. They're light-skinned. They got the curly hair. There's something about them. There is something about them that makes them very attractive. They're very high yellow. Look at Chris Brown. Chris Brown is a beat up Rahina, and he dated lots of women.
And you're starting to see that with Diddy and all these other dark-skinned guys, where they beat the shit out of women and kill women, but they still have nobody chastise them for it. All right, but dark-skinned men have to do this because, like I said earlier, they like dark-skinned men do that a lot. So basically, what they'll do is they'll try to make it seem like light-skinned dudes were in style in the '80s, even though they really weren't. Or they may have a small period where they were in style for like 2 to 5 years, and they'll overgas the time period. Like they'll take a guy like Chris Brown, like 20 years from now, they'll see a guy like Chris Brown getting black women to take pictures with him for $1,000, and they say, look back in the 2020s, light skinned dudes was in style. Like they had Chris Brown He had black women and women of all races taking pictures with him for $1,000. But if you actually look into reality, light skinned dudes were not viewed as a status symbol in the community. They're actually being persecuted. But they do that because they have to brainwash and trick women to thinking that light skinned men have it easier in order to get sympathy pussy. Alright? And that's how they guilt trip people and feeling sorry for them. Alright? But notice how he's speaking for all light skinned men. Alright?
Also, it seems like light skinned men seem to be more attractive, or they just seem to have better hygiene, and it's kind of like light skinned women.
Yes, but that's a stigma that dark skinned men throw on them. See, dark skinned men want their cake and eat it too. Alright, dark skinned men want to be perceived as masculine and street niggas, but when they get pulled over by the police, they don't want the police to think them of that way. They only want women to think of them that way, of these alpha males or these dudes to do what the hell they want. But when they get pulled over, they get mad that they're perceived that way. All right, they want their cake and eat it too. They think that they can walk around stereotyping light skinned men and be mad that these stereotypes that they apply to them, people view them that way.
It seems like light skinned men are seen as desirable on the hot. You look in the magazine, they got the guy. Women seem to just love them. You got Chris Brown, and you got Drake. These are the two light skinned men. Will Smith, comedian. There's something about light skinned men that women.
Bruh, 3 light skinned dudes out of how many dark skinned dudes in the rap industry, in the entertainment industry? Like, Will Smith is not even the top comedian. Like this shit is stupid. All right. Now, I do think light skinned men do have a little bit more global appeal, but let's keep in mind that a lot of these light skinned cats, especially these mixed dudes, they wouldn't even be here if black men didn't have access to non-black women. Now, it might not be the highest quality of white women. It's usually white women. Usually, white women who prefer dark skinned men are usually rejects from their own community, or something's mentally wrong with them. Most women who are attracted to dark skinned men, who are not dark skinned themselves, there's something mentally wrong with them. They got identity issues, they got mental issues. There was molested as children. It's usually something wrong with them, especially if they gravitate towards degenerate dark skinned males like that. It's usually something wrong with them, or they just listen to too much gangster rap or some shit. But it's usually something wrong with them. All right. Like I was watching this the Jungle Fever Pop the Balloon, which I might do a review on, and you could tell those white women of low quality. White men will not talk to them, or any other group of men will talk to them, but they understand that black men ain't gonna reject shit, especially if they dark skinned, and especially if they got dreads. They know they're gonna fuck anything. And this white bra was fat, nasty, like she was a fat, funky honky, and she had all these damn tattoos on her, like it was nasty. You could tell something was wrong with her. She probably got molested. Who knows?
Find attractive. I knew a guy on my job about 4 years ago, and he was awkward. He was a light-skinned guy, awkward. There was nothing special about him. He had poor social skills. He couldn't communicate. He was just so dorky and awkward. But he was mixed. He was very high yellow. His hair had long hair.
Yeah, like we don't see socially awkward dark-skinned males who get women with ease, who sag their pants and can barely put a sentence together. They don't get women either, right? With ease. Alright. This shit I'm talking about, but they need a narrative to reason why they can just persecute you. That's all this shit is all about. Alright.
Curly hair. But even though he was awkward, he lacked social skills. He's still able to get girls. A girl came up to him and gave her she gave him her number. And last I know, they started dating, and this guy was awkward. He was like 20 years old.
And that's another thing. They don't never ask you why light-skinned men are socially awkward. You never notice that? Like, I hear that stereotype a lot about light-skinned men is that they don't have social skills. But especially if they grew up in the black community, like I heard black women, they'll say that light-skinned men are different. All right? But they never ask or expand on why do you think they're like that? Why do you think they avoid conversations with people? People who are socially awkward, who are quiet into themselves, they're not quiet because they want to be quiet. They're quiet because they had fucked up experiences in their lives. All right, and they don't know who they can trust, and they don't know who's gonna hate on them. He could have been getting picked on as a child. He could have had childhood trauma, but they are painted as, these guys just are just dumb as box of rocks, and they just got no social skills, and they just get everything. That's why they dumb, or they don't have no social skills. But people who are introverted like that, they're not like that for a reason. Some people are naturally introverted and shy like that. But a lot of people are introverted and quiet is because they had shitty lives, or they've been betrayed a lot. But let's keep going.
Just awkward, but he just still got girls. And well, as I see, a dark skinned guy can't get a girl to look at him. But like I said, light skinned men are desirable. They're also for breeding. A lot of women see light skinned men and say, "Oh, my baby gonna come out looking good if I breed with him." So a lot of women do breed with light skinned men because they know the kid. Women think about the breeding, and I'll talk about this in my next video. Women they desire men who are attractive for breeding. Like I said.
And they do the same thing with black, dark-skinned men. White women sometimes they get with the darkest man because they want a guy that a baby looks like a light-skinned person. All right, sometimes they just get with a dark-skinned man with a light-skinned man because they may feel like their children will come, instead of looking like a mulatto, it'll come out looking like an octoroon, which is not the case all the time. I've seen white women get with light-skinned men and the child looks just like the light-skinned guy, the same color and the same hair. But I've seen it the other way around too. Or you even see it in the black community sometimes. I've seen it with this mixed chick. She was basically breeding with dark skinned men. Like when I was I think it was the Kendra G show I was watching. And she was talking like she was trying to breed with them or some shit. But it goes both ways. All right?
It's sad to say that, but they want to make sure that.
But that's usually black women who do that. Dark skinned women. Sometimes light skinned women get with a light skinned guy too. But I mean, like, come on, like, what light skinned dude is really gonna fucking allow himself? Most light skinned dudes don't even fucking speak to black women. But let's keep going.
And is healthy. His mind is healthy. And before a woman's gonna sleep and jump in bed with a guy, any guy, she wants to make sure that guy is desirable. And a lot of light skinned men are seen as are on top of the list. Like I said, I put down Chris Brown, Drake. I knew a light skinned guy on my job who was awkward, poor, so he didn't have any social skills, didn't talk to anybody, but he still had girls trying to sleep with him because they knew that baby coming out. That when they had, she think about the baby. She wants to have his baby because he was a good looking guy, just awkward, and he still had girls coming to him. He didn't even go to girls. He didn't even.
Just like you dark skinned niggas do the same shit. Y'all get with a light skinned chick because y'all want a light skinned son or daughter. Y'all get with a white chick because y'all want y'all kids to look like that. Y'all all obsessed with us and how we look. That's not fucking anything special. Even white women, they get with black men because they just want a mulatto looking kid or a light skinned looking kid. Y'all are obsessed with us. Y'all give us those stereotypes of being pretty. They're not throwing them fucking stereotypes on themselves.
Her attractive. She kept chasing him. She's like, hit me up. Here's my number. You're gonna call me when hang out. She kept chasing him. He didn't even seem interested in the girl. So from what I experienced, light-skinned men and light-skinned women seem to be on the high desirable list. And it's so crazy because they're light-skinned men and light-skinned women are more desirable than black men. They're more desirable than white women.
And notice that he's separating black and light skin. All right, because he understands that y'all two different ethnic groups. Y'all might be of the same nation, but y'all two different ethnic groups.
White men, it seems like mixed people. There's something about mixed people that people just find attractive, and they're good for modeling.
Keep in mind that most of the models are usually dark-skinned men. Believe it or not, especially they go to Africa and shit and get them dark-skinned black-ass Africans that model they shit. Also, even in these rap videos and these music videos, especially in the black community, these women always get the darkest man they can find. For some odd reason, they do that. So it's kind of hard you can say that. Now, I will say that I do believe what he's saying to some degree about the global appeal and how that mulatto phenotype. I told you that we're the pretty boys of the earth, or we're the attractive men on the planet Earth. They know that. They know that we're the standard. Light skinned women are the standard. Light skinned babies are the standard as far as physical appearance. Everybody knows it's not. Like I remember a couple years ago, this white girl on this TV show, she was talking about how she was with a light skinned black man, and she had a baby by him, and she had a white baby. And I will admit, this white girl was pedestalizing the light skinned child that she had with the light skinned brother because he was more. She was just obsessed with that phenotype. She was like I told you, some type of obsession and sexual fetish they have for light skinned people. That's why you got to watch out when you're a light skinned person. You have light skinned kids. But she called her a Caucasian child. He was too cookie cutter. But she had the light skinned boy and more of a model. Had him in pageants and shit. And he was winning and it was crazy. But they do that. All right. But it goes all ways. Like light skinned men and dark skinned men, they're desirable in their own different ways. Light skinned men are strictly a lot of times just judged based off how they physically look. All right, not their talents, not anything else. Even though they're the most talented a lot of the times, dark skinned men are not. Dark skinned men are preferred based off stereotypes physically, and also charisma, shit like that, personality. That's what they win at, you know.
Playboy, they're just seen highly desirable, and they're more. And right now in this day and age, it seems like a light skin or mixed people are seen as more desirable than black people are in white people. It's crazy.
But notice how he's speaking for you guys. He's speaking for you guys. But I'll see you on the next one.